Right, so hello and welcome back to Forex Foundations. In this video, we're going to be talking about what we trade and how we trade it. So in the Forex markets, we are trading currencies. Now, specifically, we are trading currency pairs. When we trade the currency markets, we are trading one currency versus the other and looking to profit from value changes. So a currency pair is a crossover of two currencies, and it allows us to buy or sell one against the other. So here's an example of that. The Euro USD. Now, this is the most major currency pair, Euro USD. And that means that it is the most traded currency pair with the highest volume, the highest amount of money that flows through it day to day. So the Euro USD allows us to trade the value of the euro versus the value of the US dollar. And that means we can actually buy Euro USD and we are looking for price to increase versus the US dollar. So here's an example then. When we buy Euro USD, we are betting that the price of the euro will go up against the value of the dollar. If the price of the euro does then go up against the value of the dollar, we will make money. If, however, we buy Euro USD and then the euro falls in value versus the dollar, we will lose money. Okay? But we can actually profit from a fall as well. We can sell the Euro USD. And what that means is we are expecting the price of the euro to fall against the price of the US dollar. So sell trades are called short trades, buy trades are called long trades. We'll get a bit more into that in a moment. Right, so we have different types of currency pairs, okay? The major currency pairs are the most traded currency pairs, the pairs with the highest volume, and these are the pairs that give us the best trade prices. So that means we have the best commissions, we have the best spreads. Now, the spread is a difference between the buying and selling price that you can actually buy and sell a currency pair at. So the lower the spreads, the better. It means we can make more money and it means we don't get caught out so much by the broker. So the major, the most traded currency pairs, and the major trading pairs are Euro USD, so the euro versus the US dollar, USD JPY, the US dollar versus the Japanese yen, GBP USD, which is the Great British Pound versus the US dollar, and USD CHF, which is the US dollar versus the Swiss franc. So, as well as the major currency pairs, we also have minor currency pairs. There are 14 minors, and with the amount of volume that actually trades through the currency markets, as we mentioned in the first video, with that $6 trillion daily turnover, the minors do trade very, very similar to the majors. So there's not too much of an issue with trading the minor pairs. The issues arise with spreads and commissions when you actually move on to some of the lesser traded currency pairs like exotics, okay, where we start trading, for example, the South African rand and the peso, the Mexican peso. So the minor currency pairs then are Euro GBP. Here are some of the key ones anyways, the best ones to trade in my opinion. Euro GBP, that is the euro versus the Great British Pound. GBP AUD, now AUD is the Australian dollar, so that's the pound versus the Australian dollar. We then have the pound versus the Japanese yen, the euro versus the Japanese yen, the euro versus the Australian dollar. CAD is the Canadian dollar, so CAD JPY is the Canadian dollar versus the Japanese yen. CHF JPY is that Swiss franc, Japanese yen, and odd JPY, Australian dollar versus Japanese yen. So those are some of the top minor trading pairs that you can actually go and trade day to day without any issues. Right, so we spoke about the different ways to trade. We have long trades and we have short trades. Now, a long trade is when we buy a market. So if we long Euro USD, we're actually betting that the euro is going to go up versus the dollar. So if we long Euro USD or buy Euro USD, and then the euro does rise in value against the US dollar, we will make money. If we short Euro USD, okay, which is a sell trade, we are betting that the euro is going to fall in value against the dollar. So when we go short Euro USD, we will profit if the euro loses value versus the dollar. So that's what's so great about the Forex market and the fact that we trade crosses and currency crosses is we can basically profit from upside and downside movements day to day. So looking now at pips. Now this is how we measure our profits. Can be a little bit confusing to start with, but you will get into it. You will begin to understand it a little bit more clearly, hopefully with this video. Now, when we are looking to measure our profits, we can do so by measuring pips. Now, when we're looking at stop loss sizes and profit target sizes, of course, all going to be covered later on, we will be doing that by measuring pips. Now, here's an example of a currency quote. GBP JPY 137.450. So what a quote shows is that one currency is equal to this amount of another currency. So GBP JPY, for example, is the Great British Pound versus the Japanese Yen. So what this shows is that one Great British Pound is equal to 137.45 Japanese Yen. Okay? And these currency quotes is what we are trading. We are basically trying to catch a price difference in these currency crosses, these currency valuations. So 137.45, we have 137.45 Japanese yen in every individual Great British Pound. To count the pips, we go to the far right, so where it says 0.450. And what we actually want to do is ignore the final decimal. That is 1/10 of a pip. So the one we want to target on, the one we want to focus on is there, okay, the second from the right. And what we actually are then looking at is this as 1 pip. So for example then, if the market is riding at 137.45 and it moves to 137.46, we have gained 1 pip of value. Okay, if it falls to 137.44, however, we have lost 1 pip of value. Now, if GBP JPY was to increase from 137.45 to 137.55, that would be a 10 pip increase. If GBP JPY rose from 137.45 to 138.45, that's going to be a 100 pip increase in the market, okay? So basically, we want to catch as many pips as possible, but we're going to get into all that later on. It is just important, however, before we get into all of the chart work and the actual methods, the learning, that you understand what a pip is and how we actually measure our profits. So that is how we would measure profits for the GBP JPY currency pair. There's another example here. For Euro USD, this is the value of the euro versus the US dollar, as we were speaking about. This one, 1.1875, tells us that 1 euro is equal to 1.1875 US dollars. Okay, so they're very similar, but there is a difference there. What we would do again is go to the far right and ignore the final decimal. So this is 1 pip, second from the right. This is 10 pips, and this is 100 pips. So a movement from 1.1875 to 1.1986 would be a 111 pip difference. Okay, does that make sense? When this moves, it's 10 pips. When this changes, it's 1 pip. And when this moves, that's a 100 pip difference. So that's how we measure our pips. And that is how we are going to be essentially deciding where to put stop losses, where to put targets. All of that, if you don't understand, we will be getting into soon. So that is it for now. We've spoken in this video about currency pairs, what we're actually trading, which is a cross of one currency versus another. We've spoken about the different ways we can trade. We can actually buy a currency, or we can sell a currency to profit from a price increase or a price decrease. And we have also spoken about pips and how we actually measure profits. So now in the next video, we're going to talk about market orders. We know we can buy and we can sell a market. So in this next video, we're actually going to talk about how we go about doing that and the different methods we can use to activate our trades. So thank you for watching, and I will see you over in the next video.